Behind the gilded gates of Buckingham Palace, a silent coup has just shifted the entire balance of the British monarchy, and almost nobody noticed. In a move that shocked royal insiders, Prince William quietly redrew the traditional lines of power, leaving Queen Camilla and her prominent family faction completely cut off from the crown's immense fortune. This wasn't a minor family disagreement. It was a calculated financial takedown executed with absolute legal precision, targeting Laura Lopes in a high-stakes chess match behind palace doors. What really happened when Prince William confronted King Charles III behind closed doors at Sandringham changes everything we thought we knew about the future of the House of Windsor. If you want to understand how this ultimate battle for the legacy of Princess Diana is being played out, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. Because up next, we are pulling back the curtain on the highly classified multi-million-pound asset seizure that left Queen Camilla paralyzed, and the chilling international paper trail linking the missing royal masterworks straight to a mysterious holding company overseas. The ultimate question remains: who is truly holding the reins of the kingdom now? The real war for the future of the British monarchy didn't start with a public statement. It began with a sudden, devastating financial strike that blindsided the entire palace infrastructure. Insiders say that in a single afternoon, Prince William executed a massive restructuring of the royal portfolio that sent shockwaves through the family's inner circle. He abruptly liquidated 20% of the commercial real estate holdings under the direct control of the Duchy of Cornwall. We are talking about £500 million instantly pulled out of the active market without a single word of warning to the rest of the household. The official press release claimed these massive funds were being redirected toward local housing initiatives and community reinvestment projects. It sounded perfectly charitable, perfectly safe, and exactly what the public wanted to hear. But hidden deep within leaked palace correspondence was a completely different story. Reports suggest that William's target wasn't local infrastructure at all. Instead, he was deliberately severing a complex, multi-million-pound financial network that had quietly supported Queen Camilla's private circle for over 2 decades. For years, specialized trusts had operated in the deep grey areas of the royal estate system, ensuring wealth continuously flowed toward a very specific group of individuals outside the direct line of succession. With one signature, the Prince of Wales completely cut the power to that pipeline. His own closest advisors desperately warned him that this aggressive maneuver would be viewed by the king's household as an open declaration of war. They pleaded with him to reconsider, pointing out the immense internal chaos it would inevitably cause. But William's response was sharp, direct, and completely unyielding. He made it clear that institutional assets would exclusively serve the future of the crown, not private interests, refusing any attempts at compromise or negotiation. Yet, this £500 million financial freeze was only the opening move in a much larger, more dangerous game. Because while the palace was still reeling from the financial fallout, a completely different crisis was quietly unfolding at a prestigious London auction house, and it involved a highly sensitive piece of history that was never supposed to see the light of day. What happened inside the secure rooms of Sotheby's auction house completely transformed a private family dispute into a high-stakes legal emergency. Rumors indicate that staff members flagrantly noticed Laura Lopes in possession of historic artifacts that were never meant to be circulated in the civilian market. We aren't talking about ordinary family heirlooms here. The items in question were a highly distinctive black diamond pendant and an intricately crafted sapphire bracelet. To an ordinary appraiser, they looked like beautiful, high-end vintage jewelry. But the moment digital images of these specific items reached the desk of senior officials at Kensington Palace, the entire atmosphere shifted. Insiders say those exact pieces were instantly recognized. They belonged to Princess Diana, famously worn by her during high-profile events in the late 1980s. Even more stunning is the hidden history behind them. It is claimed that Prince William had confronted Queen Camilla about these very items over 2 decades ago when he was just a teenager. Following that tense encounter, the jewelry was supposedly locked away securely, remaining completely unseen for 26 years. Suddenly, Laura Lopes was attempting to log them into a civilian auction system. This wasn't a simple mistake. Reports suggest a highly deliberate strategy was at play. By registering the pieces under a private citizen's name, the unique royal history attached to them would effectively be wiped clean from public records. Because these specific items had remained outside the official Crown Estate registry for decades, they sat in a complex legal grey area with no modern tracking documentation. If the cataloguing process had been allowed to finish, the historic collection would have legally transformed into private civilian property, completely beyond the reach of the direct line of succession. The discovery sparked immediate panic. The moment the intercept was confirmed, Prince William didn't pick up the phone, and he didn't call Clarence House to demand answers. Instead, he quietly initiated an elite legal protocol that bypassed standard family channels entirely, moving with unprecedented speed to protect his mother's legacy. But stopping the auction house was only the first step, because to permanently secure these historical assets, William was about to force a direct confrontation with King Charles himself. The high-stakes legal document Prince William carried into Sandringham House wasn't a request for a meeting. It was a direct constitutional ultimatum delivered straight to the king. Sources close to the household suggest that William bypassed every standard royal protocol, arriving with a highly sensitive leather binder that caught palace staff completely off guard. Inside was a rarely utilized legal framework known as a letters patent for asset reclassification. This was no ordinary family visit. William was stepping into the room with absolute leverage, and the implications for the future of the monarchy were staggering. The document effectively stated that if the reigning monarch could not fully protect the historic assets of the crown, the responsibility would legally transfer. Rumors indicate the text was meticulously drafted to allow the heir apparent to petition the Privy Council directly. If activated, this maneuver would grant William the authority of a prince regent over those specific properties, effectively bypassing the king's executive control over the family's historic wealth. King Charles was suddenly faced with a choice that carried massive historic weight. He could either sign the decree immediately or risk an unprecedented constitutional debate regarding his capacity to manage the estate. It is believed that the atmosphere inside the study was incredibly tense as the legal realities became clear. William made it certain that his priority was the absolute protection of the crown's heritage, leaving zero room for negotiation or delay. Facing the immense pressure of a potential institutional crisis, the king ultimately took the pen. With one historic signature, the status of the controversial items changed instantly, classifying them permanently as protected property for the direct line of succession. This completely locked out Queen Camilla's household from ever claiming them. But while the ink on that decree was still drying, an elite legal machine was already spinning into motion across London, and the physical enforcement that followed would catch everyone completely by surprise. At precisely 5:30 in the morning, a fleet of unmarked police vans quietly pulled up to Laura Lopes' private Wiltshire estate, initiating a stunning legal raid that no one saw coming. According to sources, this wasn't a polite knock on the door or a standard family inquiry. It was the swift enforcement of an aggressive High Court order known as a Mareva injunction. Within minutes, Laura's entire financial existence was completely locked down. Her bank accounts at Coutts and Barclays were instantly frozen, leaving her entirely paralyzed and unable to move a single penny. The physical search of the property was conducted with clinical precision. Officers moving through the residence were working under a highly specific ministerial-level warrant to recover the historic pieces identified just days earlier. Rumors indicate that investigators quickly located exactly what they came for: the distinctive black diamond pendant and the intricate sapphire bracelet. The items were carefully documented, sealed in protective cases, and officially removed from the premises under armed escort. Just like that, a multi-million-pound operation had been completed before the morning news cycle even began. Laura Lopes was left with completely frozen assets, no physical evidence, and absolutely no immediate avenue to fight back. It was a devastatingly efficient demonstration of the legal power now backing the heir apparent. But as word of the raid rushed back to London, the atmosphere inside Clarence House dissolved into pure panic. Queen Camilla was about to find out that her traditional avenues of defense were completely useless, and the next tactical move from Kensington Palace would leave her entirely silenced. Inside the walls of Clarence House, Queen Camilla's veteran public relations machinery was completely dismantled in a matter of hours, rendering her entirely powerless to protect her own family. Insiders say that when news of the asset freeze reached her, she immediately summoned her personal legal team to find a way out. Her first instinct was to invoke sovereign immunity to shield Laura from the escalating legal proceedings. But her top lawyers delivered a devastating blow. They explained that this historic constitutional shield only protects the reigning monarch and the Queen Consort during official duties. It does not extend to private citizens. Under the law, Laura Lopes was being treated as a regular civilian holding highly restricted property without authorization. With the legal avenue completely blocked, Camilla turned to her absolute greatest strength, controlling the media narrative. For over 2 decades, she had expertly managed the press, transforming her public image through calculated relationships with high-profile journalists. But Prince William had already anticipated this exact playbook, and his counter-strategy was absolute. Reports suggest that Kensington Palace instituted a total communication blackout across the entire royal infrastructure. The Buckingham Palace press office was effectively locked down, prohibited from issuing a single statement, denial, or background briefing without William's direct sign-off. Simultaneously, his legal team secured strict confidentiality orders from the High Court to High Court, legally forbidding mainstream financial outlets from connecting the unusual banking freezes to the royal collection. Major global financial publications were actively tracking the massive asset freezes at Coutts and Barclays, but they were legally paralyzed from reporting the real story. By the time the sun came up, the woman who had spent a lifetime successfully shaping public narratives was completely silenced. She couldn't leak information, she couldn't give interviews, and she couldn't even defend her daughter's frozen livelihood. It was a masterclass in tactical isolation. Yet, the true shockwave was still to come, because when the High Court began a comprehensive audit of the recovered items, they uncovered a dark secret that completely rewrote the scope of the entire operation. The 2 historic pieces recovered from the Wiltshire estate weren't the conclusion of the crisis. They were a distraction from a massive international disappearing act that went deep underground. Reports suggest that when the High Court wrapped up its comprehensive forensic audit, a highly classified file accidentally leaked from the Ministry of Justice, completely shattering the illusion that the situation was under control. The black diamond pendant and the sapphire bracelet were the only items recovered from a list of 14 heavily guarded artifacts documented missing from the Highgrove repository. 12 priceless masterworks from Princess Diana's personal collection had already vanished entirely from British soil. The tracking data embedded in the leaked files revealed a complex digital paper trail that sent panic through Kensington Palace. Insiders say these 12 missing pieces were routed through intricate channels into an anonymous private holding company explicitly registered in Delaware. This choice of location was entirely calculated. It placed the historic artifacts inside a highly secretive corporate jurisdiction where the British legal system and the High Court had absolutely no immediate power to reach them. But it was the forensic trail regarding the true orchestrator of this operation that truly stunned palace investigators. According to sources, the leaked intelligence documents repeatedly highlighted a highly specific codename, the Montecito connection. This explicit phrasing immediately pointed toward a very particular, highly controversial faction of the family living permanently outside the United Kingdom. It suggests that Laura Lopes getting caught at the auction house wasn't a reckless, independent decision at all. It was just one small part of a highly coordinated international operation to permanently relocate Princess Diana's historic legacy beyond the reach of the crown. Prince William moved instantly to contain the damage, establishing the Diana Heritage Trust with ironclad legal terms that permanently locked away all remaining artifacts exclusively for the direct line of succession. This ensured that no other faction, including anyone from Queen Camilla's or the overseas circles, could ever exploit them again. But the 12 missing masterworks remained completely unrecovered, quietly held in the shadows as a massive piece of leverage against the monarchy. This high-stakes game has permanently altered the balance of power inside the institution, leaving a defining question about what happens when the hidden players decide to finally use that leverage against the future king. The visual image of a unified royal family standing on the balcony of Buckingham Palace is now nothing more than a carefully crafted illusion, masking a permanent internal takeover that has already been finalized. Insiders say that while King Charles III retains his official title and Queen Camilla keeps her public role, the actual decision-making authority of the British monarchy has completely shifted. Prince William's uncompromising operation didn't just recover historical artifacts, it successfully demonstrated so that the heir apparent now commands the true administrative machinery of the kingdom. By utilizing rare constitutional frameworks and forcing a signature at Sandringham, William quietly established a precedent that cannot be undone. Reports suggest that palace staff are fully aware of this new reality, operating with a quiet understanding that all critical paths now run directly through Kensington Palace. The traditional networks of influence that Queen Camilla spent over 2 decades building have effectively been neutralized in a matter of weeks. Her family's financial pipelines were severed, her public relations apparatus was frozen by court order, and her ability to protect her inner circle vanished without a single public shouting match. It was a masterclass in modern institutional maneuvering, executed so cleanly that the public barely realized the crown had changed hands. Yet, as the dust settles over London, the true vulnerability of the institution remains hidden away in a secretive corporate vault across the Atlantic. Rumors indicate that those 12 unrecovered masterworks from Princess Diana's collection are being held with a very specific intent. In the high-stakes world of royal optics, those artifacts represent an immense amount of influence, an insurance policy waiting for the exact right moment to be used against the future king. The immediate battle inside the palace walls may be over, but the Cold War for the ultimate legacy of the House of Windsor has only just begun. What do you think will happen when the hidden holders of those missing pieces finally decide to make their next move? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden world behind the palace gates.